Hi, today we will explain the storyline of the movie Obsession, which was released in 2019. Okay, let's get straight to the story. A man appears to be traveling by bus. This man named Sonny has traveled from his hometown to attend a job interview. Shortly thereafter, he arrives at the destination city bus terminal. Before going to the interview, Sonny takes the time to tidy himself up. Then, he arrives at a workshop that offers him a job as a mechanic. Unfortunately, Sonny arrives 2 days too late, so the job is given to someone else. As a result, the long journey that Sonny had made was in vain. He felt very upset, but the decision was final. Considering the little money he had brought with him, Sonny finally tried to sleep on a long bench on a sidewalk. His money was not enough to rent a motel. As he was just closing his eyes, he heard an old man not far from him being attacked by a stranger. Hearing this commotion, Sonny promptly helped the man and chased away the robber. Surprisingly, the robber seemed confused when Sonny helped the man. He ran away without attacking Sonny.
Come on!
Shortly afterwards, the police and paramedics arrived to take statements from the victim and witnesses. Sometime after the incident, George's wife arrived, feeling very worried. The man named George felt indebted to Sonny. He introduced Sonny to his wife. George's wife, Larissa, was also grateful for Sonny's kindness. George had time to ask what Sonny's plans were after this. He also said honestly that he was looking for any job he could do. Hearing this, George took the initiative to invite Sonny to dinner at his house to discuss work. At least, that was what George could do as a token of his gratitude. Long story short, the three of them had dinner together. During the meal, George learned that Sonny was a reliable mechanic who was looking for work. As it happened, George himself had a workshop in his backyard and he needed a mechanic there. Not only that, but George also offered Sonny a place to stay in the guest house for as long as he needed. Of course, Sonny didn't turn down the offer. After all, he really needed a job and a place to live. In the middle of the night, Sonny accidentally heard Larissa and George arguing in their room. Larissa actually didn't like having strangers in their house, but George felt he owed him a lot. He said he just wanted to give Sonny a chance. The next day, George took Sonny to his workshop. While looking around, Sonny learned that George himself was once a reliable mechanic. In addition, Sonny was also introduced to George's favorite vintage car, which was broken. If Sonny managed to fix it, he promised to give him a reward. Sonny was willing to help him fix the car. Day by day, while working, Sonny felt very grateful to have this job. However, he also felt that there was something different between him and Larissa. He and Larissa often stole glances at each other whenever they had the chance. One day, Larissa approached him in the garage and warned him to stop staring at her meaningfully if he still wanted to work in that house. However, Sonny felt challenged instead. He approached Larissa and said that she didn't deserve to be with George, who was much older. Hearing that, Larissa was offended and left Sonny. However, Sonny also reminded Larissa that they were giving each other the same look. That night, the three of them had dinner together again. Of course, this time, Sonny couldn't take his eyes off Larissa. After dinner, Sonny also started to dare to touch Larissa, who was washing the dishes. George had no idea what was going on in the kitchen. That night, Sonny, who had trouble sleeping, got the idea of looking for the carburetor of George's vintage car using the computer at the garage. The next day, Sonny told George to get the new carburetor immediately before someone else took it. Without thinking twice, George went there. Not long after, Larissa, who saw her husband leave, approached Sonny. The distance allowed him and Larissa to spend at least a few hours alone together.
I think you should stay.
You're making me dirty.
After he got the parts, Sonny helped George install them. George was of course very happy that his beloved car could start again. This made him trust Sonny even more. George even tried the car by driving around alone. While George was away, Sonny warned Larissa that they should be careful in continuing their affair. Larissa herself was not sure if their relationship would continue. As excited as he was, George gave the car to Larissa and told her to try it out. That night, George celebrated the excitement by inviting Sonny out for a drink and a chat. However, he drank too much and fell asleep on the sofa. Seeing his opportunity, Sonny went back to Larissa's room and invited her to sleep with him. After that, they decided to chat a little about how Larissa met George and decided to marry him. Until finally, Sonny and Larissa thought of running away and continuing their relationship. However, it felt impossible because they didn't have enough money. From here, the two realized that they loved each other. The next day, George took Sonny to a very large vacant lot not far from where they lived. When they arrived, George made Sonny admit something. Sonny thought that George already knew about his affair with Larissa, but it turned out that George was asking his opinion about the land. George then told him that he aspired to build a motorcycle-themed park on the land, such as a children's go-kart ride and a racetrack, complete with a food court and casino. He also admitted that he had already bought the land. Sonny then invited Larissa to see the land and told her about George's plan. As it turned out, Larissa was very enthusiastic about the idea. However, she had an idea to take over the plan from George and asked Sonny to help her. She asked Sonny to get rid of George and then take his property in order to live a new life with Larissa. Sonny thought the idea was crazy, but Larissa persuaded him for the sake of both of them.
So what you're talking about is crazy.
You're the one talking. I haven't said a word.
The next morning, it was George's turn to tell Larissa about the plan. The woman pretended to be surprised and felt happy to hear it. Meanwhile, Sonny, who was watching them from a distance, felt jealous. He, who was initially against Larissa's idea, finally agreed to make it happen. The plan was set. The next day, Sonny asked for permission to go to the city, claiming that he had business to attend to. George let him go in his car. So as not to arouse suspicion, Larissa accompanied George when he said goodbye. Shortly afterwards, Larissa also left for the same destination in a different car. The two of them had made arrangements to meet at a motel to plan their next move. Meanwhile, elsewhere, George had started working on building his dream garden. This, of course, gave Larissa and Sonny plenty of time to heat up their relationship. Until finally, one day, Sonny came up with an idea. He invited Larissa to the garage. He showed her an old tractor that needed to be fixed, he said. He would ask George to help him fix the tractor. Sonny then asked Larissa to pull the lever at the right time when George was under the tractor. They would make it look like an accident. To be clear, Sonny also simulated the accident he was referring to with a watermelon. Larissa was initially frightened and felt unable to do it, but for the sake of living a wealthy life with Sonny, she finally agreed. They carried out the plan a few days later when George was no longer busy with the construction of his dream park. At first, Sonny pretended to be having trouble repairing the tractor and asked George for help. When George arrived and was in the right position, Larissa came to pull the lever. However, this plan did not go smoothly because Sonny's hand was also hit by the tractor. Here, he asked Larissa to leave so that the plan would still look like an accident. Larissa hurried away and threw away her shoes, which were evidence and were splattered with blood. She then drove for a while as an alibi and went shopping at the supermarket, but her mind was very unsettled. Long story short, the police came to the scene. Sonny himself called 911. Shortly afterwards, someone contacted Larissa. After Detective Crawford explained everything, Larissa, who had just arrived, seemed confused and pretended to be shocked at what had happened to her husband. On the other hand, Crawford felt something was odd about George's incident. Crawford noticed that the shoes Larissa was wearing that day did not match her very elegant appearance, as if she had chosen them in a hurry. Similar to Crawford's suspicion, Sonny was also concerned about Larissa's shoes. That night, he asked Larissa to show him where she threw the shoes. They finally found the shoes on the side of the road. They took them home and immediately burned the evidence. The next day, Sonny, who was cleaning the garage, was suddenly approached by Detective Crawford. Sonny initially thought it was a customer, so he asked him to come back later. They ended up chatting a little, initially making small talk about Sonny's work history. Then he began to explain his reasons for being there. It was concluded that the detective did not believe that the incident was an accident, plus the ongoing project reinforced the reason for Sonny to kill George. However, Sonny remained calm so that the detective would believe he was not a murderer and that the incident was purely an accident. The detective finally left. He asked Sonny to come to the office if he was needed at any time. Shortly after he left, Sonny started talking to Larissa. Unfortunately, Crawford, who was still monitoring from a distance, saw their conversation and became increasingly suspicious that the two of them were working together. After the conversation, Larissa seemed to withdraw and began to keep her distance from Sonny. However, it didn't last long. A few days later, Larissa was excited to take over the construction of her husband's dream park with Sonny. That night, Larissa received a call from Detective Crawford. He said he had tried to call Sonny but couldn't get through. Larissa said she asked Sonny to come to the police station tomorrow. Larissa suspected there was new evidence, even though Sonny was convinced that the only evidence were Larissa's shoes, and they had already disposed of those. Upon hearing this news, they became worried. As promised, Sonny came to the police station the next day. Larissa drove him and offered to wait, but Sonny told her to leave. Shortly after their car left the house, Crawford and his partner arrived and examined the scene without their knowledge. This delayed their meeting for an hour. Sonny was forced to wait until Crawford finally arrived. When interviewed, Sonny was continually cornered with trick questions to get him to tell the truth. Crawford and his partner both did not believe that the incident was an accident. On the contrary, Sonny insisted that it was just an accident. Crawford also showed medical records explaining the injuries on George's body. He analyzed that George was hit twice. That couldn't have happened in an accident. In addition, they showed a video recording of Crawford and his partner discussing how the incident could have happened. He concluded that the incident had been planned. However, Sonny still continued to evade the question. Crawford released Sonny that day, but he was very sure Sonny was guilty. Sure enough, all the way home, Sonny felt uneasy as he imagined the incident. On that day, the tractor had actually hit George once, but George was still alive. He told Larissa to pull the lever. George thought Sonny was going to help him, but it turned out that Sonny had corrected George's lying position so that the tractor hit him right on the head. After that, the lever was lowered again. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Larissa went to the supermarket to buy a pregnancy test kit. After Sonny came home, the two of them talked. Larissa looked increasingly panicked because the police would know that George died because of their actions. Larissa was also worried that Sonny would betray her. Soon after, the police called Larissa and asked her to come to the police station tomorrow morning. Larissa felt panicked and afraid of going to prison. Sonny tried to calm her down. At this moment, Larissa also told Sonny that she was pregnant with his child. Hearing this, Sonny was moved. However, he also felt anxious. When Larissa fell asleep, he decided to tell the truth to the police tomorrow. He made this decision so that Larissa and her child could live peacefully while also taking responsibility for what he had done. He asked the police not to involve Larissa any further because the idea was entirely Sonny's. The next day, Larissa was confused not to see Sonny at home. It turned out that Sonny had left for the police station. He only left a letter for Larissa, saying he loved Larissa and asking her to name their child Brandon if it was a boy. Furthermore, Sonny languished in prison. Larissa and Sonny could only send each other news by mail. Larissa promised to take care of their child as best as possible, while Sonny would always love Larissa. From year to year, Sonny continued to get photos of Brandon's development. Several years passed. Larissa is now the boss at the circuit park that George built. In the end, a truth was revealed. Larissa was never pregnant. She deliberately lied to Sonny so that she could live freely and control the park alone. She sent photos of her employees' children to Sonny. In addition, the person who attacked George at the motel turned out to be the henchman who is now her lover.